Anisha Gilani was born in East Africa, Tanzania, on the 25th of April 1978. In the 80s, she joined her family, moving to Toronto, Canada, and she had the occasion to enjoy living with her parents, something which had been precluded to her before the age of 10. She studied mathematics and statistics, and she is now married. She has 2 beautiful girls and a wonderful husband. In 2021, she publishes, in collaboration with Europe Books, her new poetry collection entitled Sacred, Introspections and Contemplations. And we're glad to have her here today in connection with us. Hi, Anisha, it's so good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Ginevra, for having me on board.
What is your poetry book about? Can you anticipate us something?
Sure. Sacred Introspections and Contemplations was basically inspired from a great loss on my end. I lost my father to cancer, and it was a terminal illness. He fought very hard, but at the end, he couldn't make it. I think at that point in time, when all of us are struck with grief, we question a lot of our opinions. We go to the religious books, we go to people, we seek comfort, but it's very difficult to find that space in your heart where you can be open. And it was at that point in time where I started asking the questions instead of outside within myself. And from there, I got a lot of wisdom, a lot of guidance, and this was the reason why I put it in a poetic form, because poetry is artistic. It's wonderful. It bypasses the mind and goes right to the heart. And if your heart and my heart are connected some way or somehow, my words will appeal to you, despite of what situation you may be in your life. So I was hoping that this book will come across from my heart and touch your heart directly.
A wonderful message. So I wanted to ask you, what represents for you intimately writing, and in particular poetry, and when did you start writing in your life?
So I actually really began to write a few months ago when my father passed away. I mean, it's been 7 years since he's passed away, but during the pandemic, when the whole world was shut down and everybody was closed in the 4 walls, that was the time where I said, there's something we can all do to bring happiness to people, especially people who are alone, who have lost their loved ones, the senior members, people who are dealing with mental health issues or going through divorces. The pandemic has made so many things turn upside down. And that was the point in time where I said, look, I'll just write. And, you know, if it makes sense, it makes sense. If it works for people, it works for people. But you've done your little bit to help. And that was the reason why I started to particularly write during the pandemic and put my voice forward. And I had a lot of time and a lot of liberty to sit there and put the thoughts on paper. And that was the reason how I started to write.
Is there something that you would like to tell your readers now that you have the chance to, now that you're a published author?
I would tell them, read this book, and don't read this book in order to contemplate what's being written. Don't be quick to judge the book. Read it with an open heart, because when your heart is open, the words will penetrate and probably guide you to some aspect in your life where you're questioning something. The writings in this book are very fluid. They talk about so many issues. You can talk about connection with a soulmate, connection with God, if you believe in God. You know, the dialogue, it's not always in form of prayer. It's a lot of questioning, a questioning back and forth like you would do with a loved one. So it covers so many aspects, including life, trauma, death, magnificence, them versus me, and, you know, the idea of knowledge. And is knowledge meant to empower you? Does knowledge empower you, or does it disempower you because you're so busy categorizing things in rights and wrongs and labeling things? So when you read this book, my hope and my anticipation is you keep an open heart, just feel with your heart and let your heart melt in these words.
You know, Anisha, I personally hope this is just the start of your literary journey.
Thank
But
you.
I wanted to ask if you're already working on something new right now.
Yes, Ginevra, I've actually already written 3 more books. The pandemic, again, has been a time where it's been a period of great reflections for me. And after writing Sacred Introspections and Contemplations, it was just, one after another, and the concepts get more, in more detail and in more detail and in more detail. And I feel that, if you like this, then hopefully what you will see later on in the future will be even more empowering and will touch your hearts even more.
Well, in the meantime, we wish you very good luck with this publication, and we keep waiting to read more.
Thank you so much, Ginevra. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to the audience. Much appreciated.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Sacred offers a sense of open-mindedness in its expressions and allows each reader to contemplate and connect with each poem on a personal level, to create an inner dialogue, to acknowledge and explore the sacredness that lies within each one of us. Sacred by Anisha Gilani is now available in bookstores and digital platforms. It's a publication by Europe Books.